The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Narration and art by Rick. Chapter 2. I lived my life alone, without anyone to really talk to, until 6 years ago when my plane broke down in the Sahara Desert. Something snapped in my engine. I had no mechanic or passengers with me, facing a tough repair all by myself. It was a matter of life or death. I had just 8 days of water, and every sip was precious. That first night, I fell asleep on the sand, 1,000 miles from anyone or anything. I felt more alone than a sailor lost on a raft in the middle of the ocean, with just the stars above me. So you can imagine my shock at sunrise. A funny little voice woke me up. It said, "Please, draw me a sheep." Who said that? "Draw me a sheep." I jumped up, totally stunned. I rubbed my eyes hard and looked around. There was this amazing little boy, standing there, staring at me with serious eyes. Here's the best picture I could draw of him later. I'm not to blame for my poor drawing. It's not as good as the real thing. When I was 6, grown-ups told me I'd never be an artist, so I stopped learning to draw. No, I stared at this boy, my eyes wide with amazement. I'd crashed in the desert, 1,000 miles from anyone. Yet this little boy didn't seem lost. He didn't seem tired, hungry, thirsty, or even scared. Nothing about him looked like a kid stranded in the middle of nowhere, far from people. I couldn't believe it. When I finally found my voice, I said, "What are you doing here?" He answered slowly, like it was the most important thing in the world. "Please, draw me a sheep." Some mysteries are too big to ignore, so I didn't argue. It felt strange, 1,000 miles from anyone, with my life on the line, but I pulled out a piece of paper and a pen from my pocket. Then I remembered I'd spent my time studying geography, history, math, and grammar, not drawing. I told the little boy, a bit annoyed, "I don't know how to draw." He replied, "That's okay. Draw me a sheep." I'd never drawn a sheep before, so I drew the only thing I knew, my boa constrictor from the outside. I was shocked when the little boy said, "No, no, no. I don't want an elephant inside a boa constrictor. Those snakes are dangerous, and elephants are way too big. My planet's tiny. Everything there is small. I need a sheep. Draw me a sheep." So I tried drawing a sheep. The little boy looked at it carefully and said, "No, this sheep looks too weak, like it's already sick. Draw another one." I made a second sheep. He smiled, but kindly shook his head. "You can see this isn't a sheep, it's a ram. It's got horns." I drew another one, softer this time, but he turned it down too. "This one's too old. I want a sheep that'll live a long time, not an old timer." I was out of patience. I needed to fix my plane. So I quickly sketched a box with 3 holes and said, "This is a box. The sheep you want is inside." I was amazed to see the little boy's face light up with joy. He said, "That's exactly what I wanted. Do you think this sheep will need a lot of grass?" "Why?" "Because my planet's so small," I told him. "There will be enough grass. It's a tiny sheep I drew for you." He bent closer to the drawing. "Not that tiny. Look, he's asleep." And that's how I first met the Little Prince. That's Chapter 2 of The Little Prince. The adventure continues next time. I'm Rick. See you soon.